Good morning. Hope you're all doing okay. Can see you've all got lovely weather. Nice little weather report to start off with. It's a gorgeous day here. Looking forward to my dog walk today. Get a few things done after this and then get into the sun. I hope you're all okay. So if you joined me last Friday, we were making adjustable memory wire bangles. Really lovely, and we were wire wrapping them. So expandable bangles using our gorgeous agate stones. We had quite a few sellouts while we were live in some of our colours, but we've done a good old stock check. Everything is in, so if you want any more of those rainbow agates, I will show you where to go and get those in a moment. Good morning, everyone. I can see a couple of you have a day off, yay! So you're actually watching live, which is nice. So last Friday we were making the bangle. Today we're going to make the matching necklace. It's really lovely wire wrapping technique. So I'm going to show you how to make this lovely little pendant through the centre and how to attach your chain onto your wire. So we are free-forming some styles. The little S design that I'm going to use is perfect for making your own clasps as well. And as these Monday and Fridays go on for me here with you with Totallybeads, I'm going to show you how to make some of your own findings with some of your wire as well. So little clasps and things like that that are really handy. And it also gives it that little bit more of a handmade finish too. So I'm with you every Monday and Friday. Kitty and Sarah Payne fill the rest of the week. It's every single day. So Sarah is normally here on a Wednesday and a Thursday, and then Kitty does the amazing community session on a Sunday. I'm not sure who it is this week actually, whereby someone from our lovely beading community comes in, shows their makes, how long they've been beading for, what got them in, and all that sort of thing as well. It's really lovely, and it also just has a nice bit of interaction, gets you all knowing each other, which is really lovely. Hi LJ, she says not been here in a while. Well, it's very nice to have you back. Okay, so I'm going to very quickly show you the website in case you want to go and get any of these beads. Like I said, they do go quite quickly when we do these lives. The dark blue agate has gone already. Okay, so up to the top, categories, down to Facebook tutorials. That's going to bring you into our Facebook page. These are all of the gorgeous things that everyone's been making, like I just said, Sarah, Kitty and myself, over the last couple of weeks now since we started our new lockdown. But we've got videos in here because we've been doing it since March. So you have hundreds of videos to catch up on if you are just finding us. So today I've got the lovely agate. I'm using 6mm. You'll get a 15-inch strand for £4, and I've actually got 2 bangles and 2 necklaces out of this. One of your necklaces will be a bit shorter, and that's out of 1 strand of beads. The dark green has also now gone. We do have the mixed, the rainbow, that was super popular last week. Now you're going to need some chain. You're going to need 1mm thickness of your wire. Oh, I love these frosted crackled ones. I haven't seen those. £2.50. Wow, bargain. And then you've got your 0.4mm wire, which is what we're going to wrap with. Okay, so they are all the materials that you need. Hopefully you've got those, or you've obviously got them from last time. And now you can make your matching necklace. So I'm going to turn you down so that we can have a little look and we'll get going. Okay, so this is the bangle that we made last Friday. You'll be able to go back and have a look on the page. It's just using memory wire. It's adjustable, so it's expandable, easy to go over onto your wrists. Oh, Mina, she's saying that schools are now learning at home until April. So we'll keep beading and keep being happy. We've got our lovely wire around the outside as well. So this is the wire wrapping that I was showing you. And then this is the gorgeous necklace that we're going to make. And this is a really handy technique because you can take any of your leftover beads. Maybe you're making some really special bracelets, maybe some lovely earrings. You can take any of your leftover materials and make this lovely pendant. Now we've got the coils on either side. So I'm going to show you how to make these little attachments. And then of course I'm going to wire wrap it so that it matches my bangle as well. Now, the 2 different thicknesses, you've got your 1mm through the middle and your 0.4mm wire we're going to use for the wrapping. I've already cut a section of my 1mm. It's probably about 30 centimetres long. And we're going to start at one end and make our little fancy S first of all. I'm going to use my round nose pliers for it, so it's not too much of a free form. We're just bending it and moulding it around our pliers. And then I've got all my leftover beads, which we'll add on in a moment as well. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to bend my wire and create a tiny little loop at the end. So I'm making sure that the wire is nice and flush to my pliers, as near up to the top as I can get it and grip it comfortably, because I want a really nice, small, petite loop, like so. And you'll just coil it until the body of the wire meets, or the end of the wire meets the body. So we've got that little swirl on there. And then I'm taking my pliers right down to the bottom so that it's up close to the loop we've just created, but right down to the base of my plier. And I'm just going to mould the wire all the way around it, like so. And if I spin this around, you'll see you've got the most beautiful, delicate little swirl. And that's just by using the 2 different thicknesses of my pliers. Now, this wire, I've moulded this one just so it's easier for me at the other end. So I'm going to create a little bit of a curvature at the bottom so that it will start going into my pendant. And then I'm just going to run my fingers over this wire just to change the direction. So now you can see that's going to sit nice and flush. And then we're going to add our beads on. So with your beads, you can add them with your agate. Obviously, every bead is completely different, being semi-precious. So just add them in a random colour tone order. They all work beautifully together. So the really nice thing with these is that you don't have to worry about size orders. You could put different beads in between these. You could put seed beads for maybe a little extra pop of colour, maybe a bit of crystal, adding in some sparkle. That would look really lovely. I love mixing raw natural beads with a bit of glitz as well. And then at this point, you're going to decide how long you would like your centerpiece of your necklace. So you can also bend and mold these as well. So if you would like more of a V shape, or perhaps you want to do a zigzag, maybe you want to create it in lovely waves, it's entirely up to you. I'm going to go for a little bit of a smaller one than here. And then obviously you could have a whole suite of your jewellery as well. You could change it so that you've got different shapes depending on the neckline of the jumper that you're wearing as well. Okay, so I'm going to go for here, quite small, which is really lovely. And then I'm just going to mould it into the shape that I would like. Now I'm going to put a little loop on the far end of my wire, not for decoration, just as a stopper, to stop these beads coming off, because I'm going to wire wrap them before I finish the other side of my necklace. And that just means I'm going to make sure that I've got all of the right spacing as well. So now I'm going to take my thinner wire, and in my bangle I mixed my metals. I went with silver memory wire, gold wire to wrap to give it that lovely wave. So I'm going to do the same with my necklace, just so that of course they're matching, and then I can mix those metals. Now you don't need too much when it comes to your wire wrapping, but I'm going to give myself, so that my ends can be really neat, I'm going to give myself lots of extra. Your meterage on these smaller spools of wire is fantastic value for money, so you don't need to worry about wastage. We can always keep the little bits and pieces. And I'm just warming it up ever so slightly in my hands, running it through, straightening it out. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to bind the small loop to the main body of my wire. And you can pinch these in with your little circles here. You can pinch it in with your pliers as well to make it a little bit neater, a bit smaller if you would like. I think I'm quite happy with where this one's sitting. I'll just pinch it in ever so slightly, tighten that up and make sure there's no gaps. Okay, so I don't need to worry about my beads because I've got my stopper loop on the other end, so that's going to keep them in place. And then I'm just going to take my wire, go through the smaller loop and pull through a nice little tail. And because this is going to make my tail, if you're going to wrap with your tail, you want to go to the left of this one so that it comes up the necklace. If you're wrapping with the main body of your wire, then of course take it down towards the necklace. Because of course that's going to give you your wire that we're going to wrap the rest of the beads with. Oh, Camille says, I've been writing on a Facebook Live and it's not yours. It how have you been watching? That's hilarious. I'm sure they'll probably wonder why you're saying good morning, Sarah. Okay, so I'm going to pull this down and keep it nice and tight. So I want to bind these two bits together. So I'm using the tail, I'm keeping the longer length down towards the necklace, and I'm just going to use the tail. You don't need the strength in your hands, you can use your pliers. So I'm coming up and over, through the little loop, and then so that I don't misshape any of my wire, I'm keeping it nice and flat in my hand, and I'm not holding any of the main body of the wire. Remember when we were working with our memory wire, I was saying how important it is not to grab hold of the wire at all different points, because you're just going to give it all kinks and turns and take it out of its shape. So I've got these 3 lovely tight coils up at the top, and I'm just using my flat nose pliers just to pinch those in together to make sure I get a really lovely finish. And then so that I can finish this at the back and finish it neatly, I'm going to keep that tail, I'm going to cut off as near to it as I can go, and then take my flat nose pliers, just those tiny little pinchy movements, and that will now finish that back really nice and smoothly. And you can see you've got that lovely shape that we've created and the binding in the centre. Now I can see my loop is ever so slightly raised, so I'm just going to pinch that in as well and move that down slightly, and that will give me a lovely finish. And then we're ready to wrap our beads. So to begin with, just to take it down onto the main body of the necklace, I'm going to do a couple of coils here. We'll go for 3 so that we've got that symmetry. So I'm going to bring it around the main body of the necklace, hook it around the back, and we'll do that once, twice, and then 3 times. And I'm going to finish, and you can push these up with your fingers or use your pliers. I'm going to finish so that I am at the top. So I've got lovely wrapping up at the top and then down at the bottom. And then we're going to create this lovely wave through our beads that we did with our bangles, up and over each of them. Good morning, Kitty. So then we're going to bring the bead up, and then it's just like we wrapped with our bangles. I am keeping my finger on the bead so that the wire doesn't cross up and over. So I'm just guiding it around the outside of the bead, and then I'm wrapping underneath, over, and pinching it through. And because I want a really nice neat finish, I'm just going to do that on every single one, pushing it all the way up each time I finish. And this time, so that we get the wave, we're going to go around the bottom of the bead, again holding that wire nice and tight just on top of the bead so it doesn't cross over, passing this time under and over. So I will then finish on alternate sides each time so that I can create that lovely wave. And again, just squish those up, and we can realign and play around with this wire at the very end just to mould it and shape it. And we're going to go up and over. I know you guys loved doing the bangles because I saw so many of your pictures on our Facebook group, Totally Handmade by Totallybeads. So if you haven't yet been on there, go and have a little look. It's really lovely. Normally by about lunchtime, and then in the evening, you get all these uploads of everyone who's been making the pieces throughout the day that we've shown on the video. So I'm glad we've got you something to concentrate on and something to be making, which is really nice. And some of your bangles were absolutely beautiful. So this one, my wire's gone ever so slightly loose. So I'm just going to push that up as far to the beads as I can and give that an extra pull. If it's too loose around the bead, go back a step and just tighten that up. And again, you'll see I'm not holding any of the wire. Oh, thank you, Lucy. She's put up the link to the Facebook group. So pop on over there. We have so many members in there now, thousands of members that we've been growing since March last year. And you can normally go in there, find out what people are up to. If you've got any questions, it's where you can get hold of us. It's a really lovely group of like-minded beaders, so any questions, head on into there. So you can see I'm getting this lovely wave up and down through. Got a few more to go, just like we did with our bangle. And you could do this with earrings as well. You could put these beads onto a head pin and then add your wire wrapping, and then you've got your full set necklace, bracelet and earrings, which is really lovely. If you're gifting or selling, it's always nice to be able to have those extra accessories as well. So taking these techniques and being able to adapt them for a necklace, a bracelet or an earring with something like this is so simple, and then it just gets you those extra brownie points, doesn't it? If you're gifting them, or of course if you're making them and you like those full sets. Okay, only a few more beads to go, and then we will add our finishing clasp on the other side. So just making sure there's no gaps in any of my beads before I finish and bind this wire at the far side. And this is such a nice introduction to wire work. We've got some fancy wire work techniques coming up. Sarah Payne has been working on a dragon eye brooch, which is absolutely beautiful. And these kind of projects are fantastic for you to get used to working with wire, how it moves, how it forms, and then you can up your game because it's the same techniques, you're just using them in different designs. Okay, so I'm pushing all of these down, making sure I've got no gaps in any of my beads. I'm happy with where they are all sitting. And I've finished with my 3 coils on the top side as well. And then we're ready to now attach our lovely little S-clasp. We need to make one down here as well. Now I need an inch of wire. So I actually measure it from my thumb. So it's from like the bottom of my first knuckle up to my finger. That's how much I need to be able to create this. If you're not sure, because everyone does it slightly differently, because you will use a different depth on your pliers. Sometimes the pliers are a different length. So I'm just going to cut that, measure that out and cut it like so. And I know that that is going to give me the right amount. Now, if you're not sure, you can actually do a little practice piece. So you can take your pliers and create, so on your little offcuts, just create your little clasp. So we're going to do that spiral up at the top, your loop, take it down to the pliers and you're going in the opposite direction. And that's going to give you your lovely clasp. Now, once you've made it, you can then mark where the base of it is by just bending that plier, the wire with your pliers, and then unmold what you've actually created. We'll straighten this out a bit so that I can get a true representation of the length, and then just measure how long it was. So I know that that's the right amount for the clasp that I'm making. Okay, so with your first loop, and remember I'm not cutting this wire off because I also want to bind the little clasp section when I have it. How many wraps between the wires? So it's just the one, because I'm going up and over, around to secure and finishing at the base. So then I'll go bottom, up and over and up to the top to secure. So you keep on flip-flopping each time. So it's just one and a half rotations so that you're on the opposite side. Okay, so my first loop is going to go upwards. So you can see the main body of the necklace is down here. My first loop is going to be going upwards because I want it to touch the main body of the necklace when we finish. So that first lovely little loop right up at the top of your pliers, as near to the top as you can get to create that first little loop. This one looks ever so slightly bigger, so I'm just going to pinch it in and give us a nice little finish. And then once you've made this one, we're going down to the bottom of the plier, as near to the loop that you've created as you can go. So that's right up close to my plier, and moulding that wire all the way around. And can you see my spacing and my measurement was perfect? So you've got that lovely finish on either end, no gaps in the beads, and now I can bind this. So I'm just going to neaten this one up ever so slightly, just pulling it up so that I've got that lovely space to then wrap in between. And then we're just going to finish off in exactly the same way. So I'm going to take that wire, just running it through my fingers to get it coiling the right way for me. There's no point battling with these things. Make it do what you want it to do. And then pulling that in nice and tightly so that it will bind to the main body. And again, if you don't have the strength in your fingers, use your pliers. Get that wire out of the way. and again pull it through. I don't quite have the strength in my hands today, so I'm just going to hold that and bring it in. And I absolutely love wire work because you can make just the most amazing shapes. I mean, just using 2 thicknesses of my pliers there, we've got a gorgeous finish and a lovely shape that we've created, and it really isn't hard. So you don't have to be worried about these things. It can be so super simple to start off with. And then as you get used to working with it, it might be a completely new medium for you. As you get used to working with it, you can create some really fancy shapes. Lucy says she's a bit scared of wire, but this looks like a nice way to start. It's an absolutely perfect beginner's project because it's just 2 shapes of those loops we are familiar with turning, and then obviously wire wrapping through the center. Now, because this is going to sit flush on my neck, I can't see all of my waves through here just because they've moved ever so slightly. So I'm just going to take my fingers and then I'm going to take alternate beads. So I'm holding the bead before it and then pulling the wire over the next one. So I'm kind of securing it into place with the previous bead. So you're just tightening it up and positioning it into place. And this is exactly what we did with our bangle, giving it a lovely form and making sure that all those waves are going to be seen when it sits flushly. So it's just that the beads have turned. So I'm just going to neaten that up all the way along. And it's such a quick make. This is probably one of the quickest that I've shown you actually. And again, just tightening up that last bead, rotating it round. So now you can see all those lovely waves going over and around the beads. And it just gives you that little glisten of the metal against the semi-precious beads, which is really lovely. And then I'm just going to curve it around. I would like a rounded one so that it will sit just on my collar, but you do have a little bit of leeway because you've got your beads on there. Your wire's slightly enforced. I wouldn't recommend bending it to a complete point and then backwards, but as I wear this I can change the shape of it. So you could actually go for a V, you could open it up and that would be more for a rounded collar, or of course if you've got you know, any shapes you could do it. Super simple, but you've got that beautiful soft finish on either side. Now then, attaching our chain. So you've just got to pick your favorite chain and attach this on. If you wanted to, you could make multiple little pendant sections like these and attach lobster claw clasps onto the tops. Or if you didn't bind the end of your wire, you could make it so that it was a little open loop, which would mean it would be detachable. And that way you can make an interchangeable necklace. You can have your favorite chain that you'll just swap over and put on lots of different colours and shapes of your main pendant, which again is really lovely. Okay, so attaching on with our jump rings. I'm going to take my 4mm jump ring, and some people really struggle attaching chain onto smaller components, and there's an easy simple trick. Rather than actually battling with holding it and trying to get it in, especially if you're using a very fine chain, just allow gravity to let that chain hang down, and that way you're not actually holding it, you're just letting it hang, and that will attach on really nice through the center. Now the main body of my necklace is a 1mm thickness wire, and I'm wrapping with a 0.4mm. So the 1mm is giving me that thickness and the form, and the 4 is giving me 0.4, sorry, is giving me the moldable shape that I can do all of that wrapping with. So then again, I've mixed my metals. I've added on a gold jump ring with a silver chain, just so that it pulls in that mixed metal that I've got in my bracelets and going through the body of the pendant as well. And then my last one, opening up my jump ring, I like to hold it in the corner of my pliers so that I've got 3/4 of that loop working for me, all that open space. Allow that chain to just hang, let gravity do its thing, and it will make it so much easier to attach your chain on rather than battling with it with your fingers. Now I've learnt about stars. Thank you, Charlotte, for the stars, says Kitty. You can award us with stars. Last week when Kitty said, it might have been Charlotte again actually, thank you Charlotte, she said thanks Charlotte for the stars, and I had no idea what she was talking about, so I thought she'd sent her some stars in, you know, as a make. But now I know all about them, so thank you Charlotte. And now I can mould that and shape it, and I've got my lovely pendant. So it's really nice and simple. I've got my full set of jewellery. Like I said, you can adapt it using your leftover beads as well to making your earrings as well. You could put your beads onto a head pin and just wire wrap around them, and then you've got a lovely showcase. And of course, if you get the most out of your sets, you can start making interchangeable ones as well. Really nice and simple, a great introduction to wire, nothing to be scared of. So if some of you would like to turn your hand to wire, it's a fantastic project to start with. So a nice quick make for today, giving us those lovely sets of jewellery. On Monday, I will be back with you. We're making some lovely pin earrings. I could even make it with these beads. I will have a little look-sees. Some lovely multi-layered necklaces, multi-layered earrings, giving you those lovely drops and dangles, and we're going to be doing a 101 on turning loops. So your head pins, your eye pins with your wire, it will really help perfect some of your techniques. So if you have any questions about turning loops, then do get in touch with me, and I will make sure that I cover it on Monday. I will keep a close eye on the comments while we're live as well. But if there is anything that you really want to make sure that I can cover for you and you're struggling with, maybe you want to send me some pictures of your pins, then I will make sure that I cover it, and we'll go over it, and we'll get you good on Monday. Angela says this looks a lot easier than memory wire. My hands don't like memory wire. Yeah, memory wire is tricky because it is that tempered steel. It's a lot harder. When I'm using my my 1mm gauged wire, it's a lot softer, so that's really lovely. Oh, Kieran's sending us stars now as well. Thank you, Kieran. We really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. It's a lovely gesture. So some of you have your Friday morning bead club. So I know Kitty will be teaching. I think the room normally opens just after 11, and then teaching will start at 12. If you haven't yet become a member of our bead club, or you would like some more information, head over to beadclub.co.uk. Kitty and I teach on a Thursday night and a Friday morning. I only do one a month. Kitty does the main hard work, and you can choose whether you would prefer a Thursday night or a Friday morning. So many different techniques. It's a wonderful Zoom class with lots of fabulous people, and you'll learn so many different techniques. Some things you've never thought of trying, some things you might have wanted to master for years. It's really lovely. And I will see you all on Monday morning. Take care, have a lovely weekend, stay safe, keep beading. See you soon.